per 1 lakh live births in 1990. Supposed to be brought down to 109, but this will only come down to 135 if everything goes well. 57% of the population were covered by sanitation facilities in the country at the present. Only 51%. This was to be brought down to 38, and the government officially admits that it's not possible. So given this statistical reality, now can it be possible for us to actually achieve these targets? And I think when I say yes, it is possible, is that we should also look at our experience while all this has been happening, where the reduction in the poverty or the living conditions of the people has not been as much as it could have been. What has been the contrary picture? In these 2 years, let us say, in these 2 years of the global economic crisis, the number of billionaires in India have gone up from 26 to 52, double. And remember, in India, when we count our billionaires, we don't count them in rupees, we count them in US dollars. So US dollar billionaires have gone up, doubled in these 2 years. And in these 2 years, the number of people whom we've defined here as high net worth individuals, they are 0.01% of our total population. And the Merrill Lynch and other international organizations tell you that you have 0.01% of our population is 120,000, 1,20,000 people. And you have 1,26,700 high net worth individuals in our country. An increase of more than 50% since 2008. So you had a number of billionaires have gone up they have doubled. The high net worth individuals have doubled in our country over these 2 years. And for an ordinary person today, an average urban Indian would take about 2,238 years based on the existing monthly per capita income to reach the status of a high net worth individual. 2,238 years on the basis of that. Now this is the reality that you have. Now, let us not beat around the bush about this. I mean, whatever we may want to talk about the real, the proud India that we have, the shining India that we have. I mean, I have been accused. I mean, Ram is here. I mean, he would bear me out for 5 years ago when I coined this term that we have two Indias. One is called the shining, the other is called the suffering India, and the gap between the two are growing. But I'm happy today that there are more people joining this bandwagon. I mean, there's also a high-profile General Secretary of the Congress Party who is now talking about two Indias. I mean, I'm glad that this realization is also coming. But the point is that if you have such wealth being generated in the country where your billionaires double, your high net worth individuals double, then surely there is a way in which this generation of wealth can be more evenly or egalitarianly distributed. And is that possible? Now, to make that possible, I think it is possible. And that is the last point. How long do we have time? That's enough. There's a last point I'd like to make because you have the text with you. You can. Now, given this disparity, is it possible for us today to achieve these goals? And I think yes, in the sense, why do I say that? That it all requires a very radical shift in your policy trajectory. And it's a radical shift in your policy trajectory, not in terms of hurting somebody, but in terms of how are you meeting your challenges before you. Let me give you a classic example. I mean, a real example that is happening today. You have the government of India in the last 2 years, and here is the budget document that has been presented this year by the finance minister. I am quoting from the budget documents of the finance minister, and what does it tell you? That in the last 2 years, this is called the statement of revenue foregone. Revenue foregone. In the last 2 years, how much is the revenue that you have legitimately foregone? In 2008-2009, you have foregone a revenue of 4,14,099 crores of rupees. In 2009-2010, you have foregone a revenue of 5,02,299 crores of rupees. So between these 2 years, nearly 10 lakh crores of rupees has been the revenue that you have foregone voluntarily. These were tax rates that you decided in the budget, but you did not collect them. You did not collect them. Why? The logic given is that you have this global crisis, you have to create a stimulus. In order to create the stimulus, you are giving tax concessions. Now, if you give tax concessions, indirect tax concessions, excise duties, customs duties, etc., if you minus them from this 10 lakh crores, what is the tax concession you've given to the corporate world and to the high net worth individuals that I was talking about? What was the tax concessions you gave in these 2 years? In 2008-2009, you given roughly about more than 1,05,000 crores of rupees. In 2009 and 10, you have given roughly about 1,20,483 crores of rupees. So put together, that is 2,24,000 crores of rupees is the concession that has been given to your corporate world and your high worth net individuals. Now this 2,24,000 crores that you have given as concession to those who can afford. Instead of giving those concessions to those who can afford in the name of economic stimulus, with the logic saying that if they have more money at their hands for disposal, they will spend that money and that will generate the economy. But the rich, on what they spend is hardly an area that will generate the economy. They already have enough to eat. That won't generate Indian agriculture, which is today in one of the worst crises that we have known in our history. Your agrarian distress is probably the worst that we've had since the colonial times. Now, if this is the situation, what could have been done? The same amount of tax concessions that you were given, if they were collected, and they were put to use through public investment in building our much-needed infrastructure. We need our roads, we need our waterways, we need our rural infrastructure, we need our urban infrastructure. Use that money to build your infrastructure, generate employment, which in turn would have generated domestic demand, which in turn would have generated economic activity and sustained your growth. So you have a policy approach. Either stimulate the economy by giving concessions to the rich, or collect what is legitimate. We are not talking of increasing tax rates, no. We are saying what you have already announced, collect those taxes, put it to use through public investment, and generate that employment, and then many of your figures and parameters of poverty that we are talking about will improve drastically. So there is a way possible, and that is possible only if we change the policy trajectory. And it is possible to change the policy trajectory. It is within our limits to change the policy trajectory. And if we can do that, I think MDGs, even if we cannot achieve them by 2015, we will move much closer than what we will move today. So therefore, finally, what I only want to argue here is, yes, it is a big challenge, eliminating poverty, but it is possible, not really to eliminate it, but at least to reach much further than what we are able to reach. But that would require a sustained effort to shift the policy trajectory in our country. And if we shift that, then I think we'll be able to move much closer to these targets. And that is the effort that will have to be put in. The various other problems of implementation, the costs, whether it's being delivered properly, what are the costs of it, etc., those are separate issues. But I think the most important thing is to change this policy direction. This, I think, is something that will merit the attention and intervention of all of us. And taking on Ram's suggestion that if I join him, we can change it. So let us hope so that that will be changed. So thank you very much.